Hello everyone, this is Kayleigh with Needle Felted Fuzzies, and this video is going to show you how to make this adorable little orange birdie. So the kit includes the following. You have a sponge to needle felt on with a needle. This is a 36 gauge triangle needle. If you were able to look at it really closely, you can see that the end has 3 sides to it. It's a triangle shaped tip, and you see those little bumps are actually cuts into the metal, and those are the hooks that hook the fibers and actually do the felting process. So again, these are 36 gauge triangle needles. There's a bunch of different ones, but this is like a number 2 pencil. This is the one that you use most of the time. Okay, so this is the foam pad that comes with the kit because it's actually small enough to fit in. You can use a sponge and anything else that is spongy enough, or like I have these green sponges, foam. There's black ones out there. I actually started needle felting on those peanut shaped ones. Those work really well. For this purposes, because this is so loud, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use this yellowy orange pad. We also have some white wool. This is pure white. They call it snow batting. We got some orange, of course, for the orange birdie. We've got some black for the eyes, and we got some yellow for the beak and feet. And you can see here this one got knocked over, but there's a little green one. You can also make blue birds, red birds, all kinds of different colors. I do have other kits, including this one, which is just a starter kit, sample kit, and it comes with white, red, blue, and black, and that you can use for pretty much anything. There's no one video for this, but I will be making a couple of videos based on this kit, from a mushroom to a white bird and different things that I will do, so look forward to those. And without further ado, let's get started. The cool thing about videos is that you can stop this after it runs live. You'll be able to stop it and replay it. So if we're going a little fast, I suggest watching the first time through and then going back and watching it again as you do this. I find that very helpful. So in the kit, like I said, you have 4 different colors. We're going to put these 3 aside, the yellow, black, and orange. And we're going to start with the white, and we're going to make the body and the head, and you'll also see that there's 2 big white cheeks, so we'll need to reserve a little bit of this white for later. So what I'm doing is pulling this apart, and you can see this one's a little bit longer, and we need one that's smaller than the other because the head's a little bit smaller. So I'm going to gently pull a little piece off, and I'm going to reserve this with the rest of the wool for later. So now we have a smaller piece and a bigger piece of the white. I'm going to put the bigger piece off to this side, so we have all this, the wool that we'll need here, and I put this one off to that side so that I know the difference. Okay, and then we're going to start making this one's the head because this is a little bit smaller. So let me readjust the camera. All right. First, what we're going to do is what I call the basic roll, and this is how you're going to make the head, the body, and the cheeks, and we're going to tweak this a little bit to make it usable for the little feet as well, and the beak. So what we're going to do is start with the fibers away from you, and you're going to start down here and just kind of fold over for the first time, and then roll a couple times really tight. The tighter this is, the less felting you'll have to do. Then I'm going to take this side and fold it right over, not all the way, but most of the way, and take this side and fold it over that way. So you have this kind of spiral. You can't really see it because it's so fuzzy, but it looks like a spiral or like a trifold binder brochure. All right, and then we're going to roll. I use the pad as resistance, and I pull against it. And then I'm going to squeeze this a little bit closer so you can kind of see that now. I want it to be a ball, so I want to roll, keep this nice and tight, keep rolling, keep rolling. Okay, and then you're going to take the needle, which I'm always going to keep in the top. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to keep this in the top right corner. And that way it's out of the way of my working surface. I always know where it is, so it becomes second nature to pick it up from here. And I always know where it is so that if I did this, it's like a pencil on a table. It just rolls all over the place. You'll never know where to pick it up. If I keep it here, I always know where it is. So I'm holding with my left hand, and I'm stabbing with my right. I'm going to stab in between my fingers nice and carefully. You can do this a couple of ways. If you hold one side and kind of stab away from yourself, it might be a little safer. If you have some leather finger protectors or something, you can do that. I actually bought some tongs that I'm going to be testing out that are bamboo tongs, so I'll be able to hold it further away. Okay, so we have this little ball that we've made is going to be for the head. We're going to make one exactly the same, but a little bit bigger for the body. So I'm stab, 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 turn, stab, 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 turn, stab, 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 turn. And that way, the more you turn it, the more symmetrical this will be all the way around. It will stay nice and round. Okay, and you'll notice I'm going in about halfway, not all the way through. I'm not stabbing into the pad or else you hear this. Okay, so what I'm doing is stabbing halfway through and turning and stabbing, because when I turn it and stab this way, I'm going to be stabbing that side anyway. Okay, so I'm stab, 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 turn. I'm turning and stabbing at the same time. I don't want to do this too much, just until it starts to hold its shape and it's still a little fuzzy, because it's much easier to attach two fuzzier pieces than it is to attach two bulky pieces. So I'm putting this one aside. I'm grabbing the second piece. I'm going to do that same exact step. And again, that was folded up a little bit, so I have the fibers that way. The piece, anyway, is facing away from me. I'm going to take this little bit and fold, and then I'm going to roll it nice and tight, and then I'm going to take the right side, fold it over, left side, fold that right on top, so you have a nice little spiral. Then I'm going to roll, 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 nice and tight, pulling against the pad. See how it's flaring out there? Fold that in, fold this side in, make it into that ball, so now you can still see that seam, but I'm rolling, kind of holding in the sides. Okay, keep on rolling, and then stabbing. So that's how we make a ball. And you can still tell it's a little bit longer that way, so I'm pinching as I stab. Stab, stab, stab. Most of this is going to be covered with the orange, but we are going to leave some white for the belly and for the face. So just to kind of keep an eye on that. Just keep that kind of in the back of your mind. And we're stabbing. And again, stab, 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 turn. Keep it turning. That will keep it nice and round. And again, only until it's kind of all together. Now I can feel that it's moving here. So I'm going to keep stabbing that a little bit more. I just want it to hold its shape and actually hold, instead of when I feel it like this, it's turning, it's moving. Just want to get it to the point where it stops doing that. And you can start to hear it. That means you're getting pretty close to being done. So now I have two pieces, and I want to put them together in order to make the head and the body for the bird. So, in order to do that, you don't want to throw them. You want to keep them on the pad. I want to hold them together and do a little bit of a squish together. And I'm going to take the needle and point it at like a 45-degree angle from head to body or body to head. I'm not even sure which one is which at this point. I'm going to turn the whole thing, stab, turn the whole thing, stab. You could do it this way away from you. You can hold it up and down like this and stab into the pad, which is the safest but hard to see. So I'm going to do it this way. You can hear the crunch because these two pieces have been felted. So I'm turning and stabbing, and I'll want to hit it from the top all the way through a couple of times and do the same thing this way. And then we have a cute little head and body. All right, and you can see the size is going to be a little bit bigger than the green one and maybe a little bit smaller than the orange one, but that's perfect. I'm going to roll it a little bit in my hands. That way just make sure that it's formed up nice and round. You can feel it's still a little bit wobbly, so I'm going to stab it a little bit more. Okay, all right, that's better. So now we want to make the orange. We're going to cover the whole thing in this orange. And you'll notice that this is kind of thick stuff. It's so much easier to work if it's thinned out. Now, some of the packs I might have given you just this amount, so if it feels really thick, then you can pull it in half. If it's kind of see-through, if you hold it up to the light, it might be kind of see-through, and that's what you want. You know, if it's too thick, then it will be a pain to work with. All right, so I'm going to pull off a little bit of this. And that's probably all I need for this bird. But what I'm going to start with is a little bit, and I'm going to make this part first, the in between the eyes first. Okay. So I'm going to pick the side that I want to be the front. So it's probably the nicest, pair here. And it's probably right here. So I'm going to put that on my pad. I'm going to take a little bit of this, roll out my hands a little bit, fold one side over so that you have a nice sharp edge, even though it's going to be covered with the beak, but that's all right. You want it kind of long, and you want to, again, it's going to be covered with the beak, but we only want to go about halfway down. So this would be too long, so I'm going to pull it about right there. I'm going to stab it into place. Okay. And then you can fray out this top piece and start to make those arches. So what I like to do is pull this right in half. It's still a little bit low, so I'm going to stab up a little bit more this way. And you can see I'm holding it upside down. And I do that because I like to work towards me. But if you want to work this way, that's okay. Just I can see the top of the head a little bit better this way. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of draw that shape that I want. And this isn't going to be perfect. Still have a lot more stabbing to do, but at least you can kind of get started and start to place some things. It's kind of like a pencil drawing before you actually paint. If I hold it this way, you can kind of see it's getting started there. Okay, I'm going to stab that right on nice and flat because I like where that is, and that's not going to be moving. All right, and then I'm going to take little pieces, and I kind of like to draft it out in my hands, roll it a little bit because I need a nice clean line. This is like the border of here. So we're making these archways. And again, this part's going to be covered by the cheek, but I do want to go right into this crease here between the head and the body. So I'm making this archway. And if you really don't like your placement, what I suggest is putting both sides on. If you don't like it, then you can pull it off before you really get it stabbed on there. So again, just really, really loosely kind of stab this on right into here. So it's kind of like a U at this direction. Okay, stab that right into the crease between the two, the head and the body. And now we want to do the other side. So you take that other piece, roll it a little bit just to make it a little bit easier to work with. And again, we're stabbing from the top, and we're going to be stabbing right into the piece between the head and the body. And then I kind of look at it and say, okay, well, this one's a little bit higher than this one, so I got to move this up a bit. But it looks like it's kind of even. Maybe this middle piece needs to be stabbed down a little bit. It's coming together, and it will be squished a little bit more because we still have some more stabbing to do. So that is roughly where I want it. So I'm going to stab that into place. Okay, so now we have that outline. And again, there's going to be big cheeks there and a beak and little eyes. So don't worry about exact placement for these. That's why I love these birds so much. Now I'm taking a smaller piece and I'm going to, a big piece, but small. I'm going to put that, here's where the beak's going to go. And here's the back of the bird. And you can see on this one, the whole thing is covered. So what I'm going to do is start where this line is. You can see the little pieces of hay and stuff that's still in the fire bear, because this is locally sourced from Connecticut, the Felt House in Higganum. Right, I buy it right through Etsy. It's hand dyed. So I love this wool. This is wool batting. There's also wool roving. There's top coat. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of wool as well as the needles. But you can see that I'm just kind of moving right along, making sure that I'm covering all the spots close to where the face is, and I'm working my way back. Okay, so right now he looks like he's wearing a cape. Alright, so I'm stabbing this on, and you can see I'm still stabbing the white piece because it's underneath this orange, so that's why we don't have to worry about felting that body too much before we put on this orange coat. Okay. I'm stabbing along the head, and you can see I'm kind of following the shape, and this is important. So if I'm here's the neck, right? The little piece between the body. So I'm stabbing into that. But from here, I'm following this shape. Because if I follow the shape, then it will actually keep the shape. If I stab down here, like straight down instead of into the middle, it will end up with a dent. So the direction of the stab is the direction the wool is going to go. So you want to keep that shape, so you got to follow that shape. Okay, so around the head, around the head, around the head. And then this piece, I'm just going to keep going around the bottom. You can see the bottom, I kind of end right here, and that's where the feet pretty much attach to. So I'm going to make kind of a liner in the bottom as well. I like to tack it on there just so I can see what I'm working with, but I'm really going to focus more on where the two pieces meet, the head and the body, because that is where this piece has started. I'm going to fill right into where that connection piece is, and then I can see a little bit of a hole forming there, so I'm going to use this wool and move it into that spot so that I don't have to go back and patch it later. This is just where this wool is going to fall. Always stab into the pad. If you watch me stab in the air, that's just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so we are stabbing, and I'm still pinching it together to make it hold that shape. I like it's cute too, and it's nice and pudgy. Okay, so that piece is almost on. Going back over the head just to make sure everything is stabbed into place. And I can see that there's a little bit of a dent in here, and that's because this piece is felted on more than this piece. So I'm going to go over that newer piece, the head piece. A little bit more, and now it's gone. So I am stabbing, stabbing, stabbing. And I'm going to move on. If I still need to do a little bit more work on that, I still have plenty of time. So here I am with the next piece of orange. And what I'm going to do is kind of wrap it from here around and make that body. All right, so where we started or ended this piece, when we wrapped it around the chin, I'm going to take a piece that's kind of long. I'm going to start it on one side, and then I'm going to wrap it around the bottom, making sure to pull this piece back a little bit for the feet. So when you hold it like this, you won't see the orange. It'll be underneath. Okay, but I'm just kind of following that shape, and I'm going to stab that into place here. And I know I'm going to need a little bit of a patch there, but that's fine. At least I have where I want it, the shape built in. So I'm following that shape, again stabbing into the center of this middle piece here. And then I've got to tack this part down, the extra little fuzz, and that covers up this little hole, which is perfect. Stabbing down towards the pad and into the center of this circle. Okay, now I have a little bit more here to do. So I'm just taking a piece, making it a little bit smaller because I don't need quite that much. And I am actually going to gently fold over the fuzz because I don't want it to go over that line. Okay, stabbing that down. I'm stabbing up into the head because there's a little bit of fuzz there. Stabbing straight into that center line where the head meets the body. And then I'm stabbing down in towards the center of the body piece and making sure this whole thing is stuck on. All right, and here's some fuzz there. Okay, so now I can kind of decide, do I want to make my wings like this, or do I want to make it look like the wings are attached? Now for this one, I did add a second layer here, so you can kind of see it's a little bit pudgier than the rest. It does stick out a little bit more. I don't know how easy it is to see on here, but I did an extra piece on top for both sides, and it just looks like the wings are attached to the side. This one I decided to make wings, and I attached this to the top, and now it's flapping around. Both ways are cute. I'm actually planning on taking a bunch of these and hanging them from a stick and making it look like they're flying around together. So some of them are making look fly, some are going to sit on top of the stick. Hopefully it will look cute. So if you want to make the one with just the wings on the side, you take a piece and you kind of fold it, a piece bigger than this, and then you just attach it right on there. Now I'm going to show you how to make the flappy wings in case you want to do that. So I'm taking a piece, pulling that in half, moving my bird out of the way. I like to do one full color and then move on to the next. Now because this is so hard to see on here, I'm going to switch to my green pad for now. Hopefully that's easier to see. It's not quite as pretty on camera, but it's easier to see the wool. Okay, so I'm putting the rest of this orange aside, and now I'm working here. Now this side seems thick, wider than this side, so this is going to be where I'm going to attach it, and I'm just going to fold that over and make kind of a nice place where it's going to be attached. And for the rest of it, I'm just going to take my needle and gently roll this fringe over on top and stab it into place. And then I'm going to just stab it flat. And when I'm stabbing flat, I'm kind of going in at an angle so I can push down and stab. And yes, I'm stabbing right into the pad, which means I have to, every once in a while, pull it off the pad, otherwise it will stick. And I'm going to flip it over and stab this side. And if I draw that line of where I want the fibers, then I can kind of roll the extra fuzz right on top and stab it into place. And then whichever side looks better will be the side that is facing out, and the other side will be the one that's facing the bird. So I'm pulling that off, flipping it over one more time just to clean up that fuzz. And then I'm going to make a second one. I like making both of them before I move on to putting them on, so I can line them up and make sure that they are the same size. So again, taking this top piece and just stabbing it in. Again, I want it to be about that same thickness. And then taking all this fuzz, you can use your fingers or the needle, kind of roll that. Just hit the camera, oops. I'm rolling that over, stab, 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 a million times until it's kind of in place. And then I'm going to gently pull that off, flip it over, stab this side, and I'll probably flip it over 2 more times. And get it nice and stuck and flat on there, and flip it over. You can see they're about the same size, which is good. About the same length, and the same thickness, and the same width. Okay. Now I'm going to pick up my bird again. Okay. I just thought that was a little bit higher than this side, so I'm stabbing that down into place. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to take the 2 wings. I'm going to attach them right into where the 2 pieces meet, the head and the body. So I'm taking, if you can see, just that top part, I'm going to stick that right in here. So that's up like that. I'm just going to stab there. I'm going to lift up the wing and stab from underneath. That way it's secured on both sides. And there we go. The other side. Lift up. Put it back down. Okay, there we go. Now I could probably, these are a little bit thicker, so I could probably do with maybe another layer, but for now I like them. If I stab it kind of into it like this, I might get it thicker and a little bit shorter, but all the birds are adorable. I think it's cute, just like that. Now we can move on to the puffy cheeks. So we're gonna grab our white again, that reserve white that we had. Now this is way too much, but I will pull off a piece, put my bird aside. Okay, so a piece about, I don't know, 2 inches by 2 inches. And then I'm going to pull that gently in half, that way I have 2 equal pieces. And I'm going to fold this over and fold the sides in and make kind of like a square, and then roll into a ball. I'm going to hold one end, the frizzy end here, and I'm going to stab And the piece that I'm holding will be the piece that I'm attaching it to, so I don't have to worry about felting that. Okay, so I'm stabbing away from my finger. I'm turning and stabbing, turning and stabbing. That way it stays a ball. And if I roll it up so that the tail is now kind of on top, and I can stab down into it to make it, if it starts to elongate and you want to make it more of a ball again, you can stab from all angles. Okay, and again, put that aside, make the other one first. Although if you want to hold it up to your bird to see how big it's going to be, what I try to go for is from here to here. Okay, so it will cover all of the weight from orange to orange. That way, when I put the beak on, so it could be a little bit lower than that, but it'll cover the seam here where the orange meets the white, and it will give you just enough room for the beak, and everything will be hidden and make nice transitions. Okay, again on this one, same thing, attaches, a little bit of room for the beak. Okay, so kind of doing a folding the sides in first before I kind of wrap it into a ball, and where all those pieces meet, I hold, turn and stab, turn and stab. If these are, I always say go for smaller, and if you need to add more, you can. It's so much easier to add more than it is to try to take some away. So go for smaller. If you think it's too big, pull some off before you get stabbing, and then try it. If it's too small, you can always grab another piece and wrap it around and then stab that into place, and then it will be a little bit bigger. All right, so I'm going to put that weight aside. I'm holding this again. Stab, stab, stab. Stab, 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 and they're about the same size. So now I'm going to grab my bird again. I'm going to put this side underneath. Now it's still a little long, so I'm just going to stab that together, or I can pull some off, and that way it will stay underneath there. So I'm stabbing straight into it, and then I'm going to stab around the outside underneath, almost at like a 45-degree angle underneath the cheek part, because that will attach the cheek to the body, to the head, but still give it that nice indent between the cheek and the face. Okay, so I'm going to stab that into place there. I'm going to do the other one here. No, still got a little fuzzy there. Wrap it, stab a little bit, or you can pull it off. You just want the center lines to kind of meet up, and you want a little space for the beak. But again, I'm trying to get it from orange to orange with a little bit of space above it for the eyes. Okay, and if you hear a guy in the background, that's my husband playing video games. We all have our own hobbies. Okay, so this is on. Just want to make sure it's all stabbed together. Now it might look a little weird, but that's okay because it always does until we're done. So now I'm going to switch to the orange, and I'm going to make feet and a beak. First the beak. So I'm going to take a little bit, move my bird aside, and again basically do the same thing, but I kind of just make it into a roll and then fold it in half because it's a beak and you want kind of a dull point on it. Stabbing, stabbing, turn, stab. I stab this into the pad because it's just so small. Okay, now on this one, I did one ball, one piece for the beak. This one I did two, so whichever way you prefer. I think both of them look cute. So I'm going to try with one, see what it looks like, and then if I need to make a little bit smaller one or a little bit bigger one, then I will go from there. Here is what this one looks like. Stab it in between, and I try to get it to cover, again, where the orange is. And then if you want to stab it all the way down so it's almost flat, that's fine too. Just however it looks the best. So I'm stabbing it into place, and I think that looks pretty cute, so I'm going to leave it like that. But if you want to do the second one, like this one, it's just a smaller ball and you stab it right underneath. All right, so now we need feet. Again with the orange, if you'll notice, I like doing all one color, then being done with it, then moving on to the next. All right, so I'm pulling some more off, and I make the feet 2 separate ones. If you wanted to make them this one big one, that's okay, but I'm going to show you the 2. So again, take one piece, pull into 2, so you have 2 equal ones. And I kind of do that same thing. I fold the sides in, and then fold it down, and then I'm going to hold onto this piece and kind of stab that in. Once it's on the pad, you can let go because it'll be stuck on there. And just kind of roll it into place. Roll the fibers into place. Pull it off the pad, flip it over because it will get fuzzy. Okay, I'm going to roll it in my hands a little bit just to make sure the fibers lay flat. So I'm going from this to that. Again, do one more time. Folding, folding, folding. Stabbing. Pulling the fibers over. Stab, stab, stab. One side's longer than the other, which is perfect. Flip it over. Okay, so they're about the same size. So you can see I put them right next to each other and they come out a little bit from underneath the body. It helps it stand, and it will help it look like a bird. So I'm taking this. See how this one kind of has a flat side? I'm going to put that one towards the back. Oops, I keep hitting the thing. Sorry about that. So stab, 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 and I'm putting this right against that line again where the orange meets the white. And I'm only stabbing that base, just that line where the pieces meet. Now it's the 3 colors meeting. Okay, and I'm going to do the other one. This one right next to it. And then straight across. It's a little fuzzy. Now that looks like it's a little bit further out, so I'm going to stab the top of this right foot in and just stab in between to make it look a little bit more finished. And now all we have left are the little black eyes. And those are pretty easy, so you probably have less wool than this, which is perfect because all you really need are some mere fibers. I'm going to take this and pull in half, and I'm going to take this and pull this in half because they're really, really tiny. Roll them in my fingers until they get to be a loose ball. Going to take one, and I'm doing this with my needle so you can see it, but you can do this with your hands. And I'm going to stick this in the center of the cheek, right above it, and I'm going to do kind of what I did for the feet and everything else in this tutorial, and stick it right into where the cheek piece meets the face piece. Okay, doesn't take a lot of stabbing. Again, taking this side, stabbing it in, and you can see this one's bigger than this one, so I'm going to keep stabbing right into the where the cheek meets the face, until they're about the same size, and I'm happy with that. And I can move the cheek down a little bit if I need to. Push that eye in a little bit more. And look at how cute that is, and that didn't even take us that long. Hopefully you have now accomplished making your own little bird. If you want other kits, I will be having these available on demand at the moment, and then in the future, I hope to have a bunch made and ready to go now that I have a saw to cut the foam blocks, and I'm upgrading my foam a little bit. So look for those in upcoming classes and also at upcoming shows that I'm going to be doing and online. Go to needlefeltedfuzzies.com to see where I'm going to be pretty much at all times. Thanks again so much for watching. Bye!